Good morning. Well, as I make this video, it's the morning time, and last night I got some great sleep because it was about 45 degrees Fahrenheit here in Florida in the winter, and that's kind of cold for South Florida. And it spurred in my mind that I wanted to talk about how the weather plays a part in sleeping and weather conditions and sleeping in your car. I've had a unique experience. I've lived in my car for about 2 years, and for a year and a half out of that time, I lived in New Jersey. And during the winter, it got as cold as 0 below. You pretty much can't get any colder than that. And I've also slept in my car, lived in my car in the height of the summer in Florida. And during the day, you can get to 100 degrees plus, and at night, it can only get down into the 80s. So I've slept in extreme cold and extreme hot weather. So I believe I have a unique experience of someone who's lived in their car, and that I can share with you some insights on the weather and how the weather plays a factor, obviously, in sleeping in your car. I don't have an RV. I don't have any hookups, meaning I don't have hookups to electric or to anything else. So I just use a fan in the summer, and in the winter, when I was in New Jersey, I just used layers of clothes and a sleeping bag. So, first with regards to the temperature. Sleeping in your car, the weather shouldn't play a part until the temperature gets into the teens and single digits in Fahrenheit measurements. So if it's 30 degrees at night, if you layer your clothes up properly, and if you have a sleeping bag, I bought mine, I think, for Walmart for $50. It's like the 25 degree Fahrenheit or something sleeping bag. If it's in the 30s or even the 20s, and you have a sleeping bag and you have layers of clothes, and you wear double your socks, and you wear a head covering, you should be okay. And you should actually sleep pretty good, because it is easier to sleep in cooler weather at night. Your body rests more easy, kind of like when you're bundled up and you're snuggled up like a teddy bear. When it gets to the teens and single digits, the cold weather is too much. And what happens is you'll wake up in the middle of the night, even when you have, triple layers of socks on, even when you have your sleeping bag, and you may have to start your car for heat, turn the heat on to get the chill out of the air. And you may eventually have to spend a couple weeks in a hotel room or a family member's house or a friend's house, because even when you start your car and stuff, unless you leave it running, in most places you can't idle your car legally, it's only going to take the chill out of the air for a moment, and then it's going to get back to cold. It's going to be hard to sleep. Certainly you can do it. Certainly there's people that I knew that were lived on the street, or that were homeless, that they lived in New York and they lived in different areas, without any type of protection. But what I could tell you is you put yourself at a higher level of risk for your health. And you're really going to have to be mindful that during the day, you remember to wear your scarf or wear your hat. Because what happened to me was, I kind of got, when it was the wintertime last year, I kind of got lax during the day. And during the day, when I was running in and out of buildings, as far as whether it was going to work or then going to the store, when you live in a cold climate, what really catches you when you go indoors from a heating environment, then you go outdoors to the cold natural environments, in the Northeast in the winter, and then you go back indoors. So it's the transition. You're getting out of your car to the store, you're getting out of your car to work, you're going from your office at work, to the building next door. And so that transition, when you get in and out of buildings in the winter, that's when you get zapped. Because here you are, you're sitting in your office for 4 hours, and you're going to take a lunch break, and you leave your office, and you're in this heating environment, where it's 70 degrees approximately, and then you leave and you forget to wear your scarf. You wear your jacket, but you forget to wear your scarf, or you're in a rush, so you just say, I'm not going to wear my jacket, I'll just run to my car real quick. And during that transition period, that's when the cold begins. That's when your body's immune system starts to get a virus or something like that. And then what happens is, when you're sleeping in your car at night, and even though you're totally bundled up because you're prepared for it, you're still colder than you should be a little bit. And then that's how that virus and that's how that cold can then grow. And that's what happened to me. Like, I didn't really, from what I remember of it, I didn't really get sick because it got cold living in my car. I kind of got sick because I was like leaving my work building and then going somewhere else. And when I left the building and went into my car, I didn't wear my jacket. I got a little bit lax. I didn't wear my scarf. And I could feel myself starting to get cold. And like, you could feel in your chest that you start to, and I did that a couple times. I was being lax. And then I was sleeping, in single digit, 0 below weather. And then it just grew. And you have no room forever when you're living in your car. And that's how a normal cold can turn into pneumonia. Okay. That's why, like, when older people get sick, what they fear is the common cold, because, as you get older, your body's immune system can't fight it as much, and many people die from, just a common cold that can grow into pneumonia or something like that. And so it's almost like that when you're living in your car in cold weather, is that, when you get a common cold, it can actually grow because your immune system is fighting more than the average person, because you're living in nature, you're living outdoors, especially if you're living in the Northeast, which I did in your car. That's extreme cold during the winter. So you have to really be mindful of what most people don't think of, not just living in your car, but when you're going from your car to the store, from the store to somewhere else, when you're going in and out of buildings to bundle up. Because the weather living in your car won't get bad until you get into the teens and single digits. And then with regards to the weather, when it's hot, you really don't have to worry about things as much as far as it being like dangerous to your health for the most part. Because like I said, even in the summer when it's 100 plus degrees, or it feels like that in Florida and South Florida, wherever, is that at nighttime, again, it's going to drop mostly down to the 80s, sometimes the 70s. And yes, it's humid. Yes, it's hot. Yes, it's sticky. Yes, it's muddy. Yes, you will sweat, and you'll be in a puddle of sweat sometimes. But for the most part, that's not going to endanger your health. For the most part. There's always exceptions, because at nighttime, it does drop down cool enough. And that's why, again, most nomads or a lot of homeless tend to live in warmer climates, such as Florida or California. It has nothing to do with politics or anything. It's just the fact that the weather is conducive to someone living outdoors all year long. And so, being that, you're not really likely to get sick because of the warmer weather, what's going to happen is it's harder for your body to shut down, because your body likes cooler temperature to shut down. So like you kind of like, you're sweating, it's hot, you have a fan on, but fan won't really help when it's really the height of the summer and it's hot and humid. To keep the air moving, which is good. That's why I like to run the fan. It keeps the air moving. I keep my windows cracked. But even if you sleep naked, which I have, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable because your body likes it a little bit cool. Now, what you could do, which I'm going to try to do next summer, is if you stay at a campground with electrical hookups, even though you're a tent camper and you're staying at a campsite that has electrical hookups, you can run an extension cord and you could put some type of like portable cooler, portable small AC in your car and vent it out the window. I may do that. Now, I don't have too much experience, so I'm not going to, speak on it yet. But I think that's an option, especially if you're living in a van. I've seen plenty of people down here in Florida that they have air conditioning sticking out the back of their van, cargo van. And that's what you could do if you stayed at a campsite, for anywhere from $22 to $26 per night, you got electrical hookup. But 40 to 50 degrees at night is the best sleeping weather. And in the winter, that's what it was here in Florida last night. And that's considered a cool winter night here in Florida. And I slept like a baby. I probably had the best sleep I had in about a month or so, just because of the weather conditions. So 40 to 50, even 60 degrees at night, those are the sweet spots. Once you get to the teens and single digits, that's too cold. When you're in the 80s and certainly the 90s, that's too hot. So you can still do those things, but it's going to take a little bit extra mindfulness of how you want to position yourself, what special conditions as an air conditioner or staying in a hotel room if it's too cold that you want to take. Because your health and adapting to your environment is a huge part of living in your car, and weather conditions play a huge part in your sleeping, in your quality of sleep. And sleeping is huge for your health. And I average 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night, and that's what's recommended for an adult. Most people who have houses don't get that. So it can be done. I've lived in my car for 2 years in New Jersey in the winter and in Florida in the summer. And that's my experience.